Hola, it's Kaipacha with the weekly Pele report for September 15th of the great year 2021, the year of transition. Yes, indeed, I did manage to find some rapids here on the American River. I'm checking out the vibe up here in California. This is the American River. I'm right off of the bike path down here. And the moon is now in Capricorn, and she is traveling along and will be squaring, actually, Chiron and Mercury, making a T-square before she trines the Sun and then comes into this conjunction with Pluto. After that, she moves into Aquarius, where, if you've been watching or listening or knowing, you know, she's going to bump into Saturn, later on bump into Jupiter, and then shoot on over into Pisces. And by Saturday, she's in Pisces. Sunday goes through Pisces, coming up to the full moon. So we are in, you know, it's going from the first quarter to the full. So the energy is building this week, building up to that full moon at 28 degrees, 14 minutes of Pisces, with the sun obviously over there in Virgo, making his last stand in Virgo before we hit the equinox. Next Wednesday, just in time for the Pele report, we're going to have the equinox, which is the sun moving into Libra. But before he does, he's going to in-conjunct Jupiter and trine Pluto, okay, tomorrow, Thursday, and, you know, continue moving on, moving through, while also, you know, we have some other aspects that I want to talk about today. The main thing I want to really talk about is, I've been doing this lately, talking about all these oppositions to Neptune over there in Pisces. And this full moon, she's gonna basically conjunct Neptune and then come into opposition with the sun. And at the same time on Friday, Mercury is in conjunct Neptune before he moves along through the weekend, and by Monday trines Jupiter. So Jupiter, Neptune, both co-rulers of Pisces. I want to be talking about that a little bit. Last but not least, let us not forget that Pluto is still in square to Eris, going retrograde at the 25th degree of Capricorn, and is going to go direct at the 25th degree of Capricorn, and is basically in that same degree, okay, from August 11th to November 30th, in square to Eris, the great goddess of discord. And you know, that it's a third quarter square that really began, the cycle began in 1756, was really when Pluto was conjunct Eris. So this is a very powerful, it's all through 2020, all through 2021. Pluto goes back and forth 7 times in an exact square to Eris. So let's talk about that a little bit too. All right, everybody, I'm just going to start talking to see where this goes, because there are so many different threads that I would like to try to weave together into some comprehensible message today. I'm going to start with, of course, the Sabian symbol for the full moon. And, of course, the Sabian symbol by Dane Rudyer, an astrological mandala, is available on my website, newparadigmastrology.com. You go over to resources, and in resources you can go down and scroll down, and you'll find a downloadable free PDF of the 360 symbols, one for each degree of the zodiac. And these are very powerful symbols And the one for this full moon I find particularly amazing and worthy of great meditation and contemplation. Yeah? So again, that full moon is exact on Monday. So this energy will be building, and if you listen to the report, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you may scratch your head and go, what? What's he talking about? Hang on until Monday. All right, so, you know, the symbol is a seeker after occult knowledge is reading an ancient scroll which illumines his mind. The keynote is, after a crisis, one should seek to realign the renewed consciousness with the primordial revelation of the truth of man. Any revolutionary movement, once it has succeeded in overcoming the inertia of the past and in toppling obsolete structures, needs to tap the most essential realities of what man, capital M, represents and signifies in the universal order. Let me just repeat that. What we represent and signify in the universal order. What do you represent and signify in the universal order? Or else it merely re-embodies in a superficially altered manner the very things it has destroyed. This is the crucial moment. In occultism, the, in quotes, capital P, pattern of man, capital M, pattern of man, is an archetypal power that may be contacted. It must be sought with undeviating determination. After each revolutionary crisis, this pattern and this power can be contacted. Always the same, yet at each new cycle, perceivable in a different light. This fourth stage symbol presents us with the technique required to reach the other shore. But each individual and each group or racial unit must come in its own way to the capital letters root knowledge, which provides the only safe foundation for rebirth. This is a very powerful symbol. We know that the Virgo-Pisces axis is the axis of initiation, is what I have deemed it. This initiation is from Virgo to Libra, the initiation from the individual into the collective, and Pisces from the collective into the cosmic. So we are being initiated now, collectively and individually. And Virgo is also the sign of crisis. And this crisis has to do with what the Virgo-Pisces axis is also associated with, is victimization. Martyrdom, Pisces, victim, victim consciousness. And this truly is the revolution that is occurring now. In my view of an astrological view, we are in a cyclical pattern right now with Pluto Eris, with Neptune, which goes through Pisces every 165 years, of overcoming victim consciousness. And it's almost like we need to submerge ourselves, drown ourselves in victim consciousness in order to fully comprehend the very roots and obtain this pattern of man, the root knowledge of what we signify in the universal order and what humanity represents in the universal order. This can be known, this can be felt, this can be contacted. This archetype of the universal human. I've even shown the representative of man that Rudolf Steiner carved. It's about 3 times as high as a person. It's a huge wooden carving of the representative of man, holding at bay, yes, the forces of excarnation and the forces of over-consolidation and incarnation, Lucifer and Ahriman. And in some ways we can even associate Pisces and Neptune with this Luciferic energy that wants to escape, avoid, deny, move into neurosis, psychosis, illusions, and just excarnate. And the forces of Virgo, Earth, Ahriman, which wants to analyze and use our left brain intelligence to scientifically reduce our experience in a human body in the 3rd dimension, into ones and zeros, into computer formulations, into algorithms, into artificial intelligence. And here we are, the necessity to really balance between these 2 opposite polarities. And for me, one thing that I really want to bring up and bring forward with all of this is we are in preparation. We are in preparation for Libra. The sun will go into Libra and join with Mars. And then there's Mercury and Venus in Scorpio. And this Venus in Scorpio, I didn't mention it, but she is coming into a square with Saturn. She is in square to Saturn. It's exact tomorrow, but let's give it a week. Saturn in Aquarius, the co-ruler of Aquarius, before they discovered Uranus. Yeah? And that discovery of Uranus coincided with the French Revolution. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Very Libra, the scales of justice kind of energy behind this whole pattern. Prior to Uranus being discovered, Saturn in Aquarius, and particularly now with Pluto in Capricorn, is totalitarianism. It is dictatorship. It is the elite making laws and rules and restricting the freedoms and taxing and subduing the massive population in order to feed its own private agenda. And it was at that time when Uranus was discovered, okay, that that the French Revolution came along to topple that type of mentality. And even since then, with Hitler and with other, with other times and other, changes, Gandhi, had to overcome, and it was through civil disobedience. Libra is civil. It's nonviolent communication. It's peaceful, balanced coexistence. The scales represent the law and lawyers that bring to the courts and stand up for, yes, the self-evident rights of a human being that are really based so much upon this pattern. Yikes. Speaking of the man, I'm busted. No Pele reports allowed. You're coming with us. Oh my God, man. Freaking helicopter right over my head, dude. Ow! Freaking United States is so tripped out. Wow. Completely threw me off. Here I am on the collective universal pattern of humanity, and I'm thrown into this present moment of chaos, of discord, of disharmony, of desperation. And so let's look at this, the final decan. Each one of the signs can be broken into decans, yeah? 10 degrees, 10 degrees, 10 degrees. So the first 10 degrees of Virgo is Virgo, Virgo. The second 10 degrees of Virgo is Virgo, Capricorn. The third 10 degrees, which is where we are now, from 20 to 30 degrees, is Virgo, Taurus. Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus has to do with our right to earn an income, our right to survive, our ability to survive, our capacity to survive in this physical body. And we need revolutionary forms right now. And so the sun in this last decan here, is really bringing up. And here, this President Biden, just lays out this rule that these companies with more than 100 employees are forcing their employees into, coercion. It's basically coercion, affecting the incomes, affecting the ability to survive of the human being, is to go along with this Saturn in Aquarius. Laws, rules, boundaries, restrictions, social distancing, the wearing of, to cover the face, to cover, to block communication, lock down social isolation. And I'm going to say one of the patterns of man is that we are social beings. We need each other. My last week's Pele report was about the garden, right? The garden of love is relationship. And we're moving into relationship, and we need relationship. And I ask, I call, I plead to, real time, in person, face to face, uncovered relationship. Not isolated in your bedroom or your bathroom or your living room, looking at a screen and objectifying other people to where they're not humans, they're avatars on a screen. This is not relationship. This is not Venus and Scorpio. This is Venus and Scorpio wants intimacy, vulnerability, emotion, connection, metamorphosis, and transformation through union. This doesn't happen on Facebook. This doesn't happen on YouTube. This doesn't happen on Instagram or Twitter. So it is about, the 5 physical senses of Taurus and Venus coming through Scorpio, wanting to merge, unite, and connect very deeply, very powerfully. Of course, it is in a 3rd quarter square to Saturn. The 3rd quarter square has to do with rebelling against the conventional, rebelling against the, in quotes, normal or the consensus. And so I want to be encouraging us to really, go beyond, go through. In some cases, just like they had to do with Gandhi and in India, civil disobedience in order to really make connection, eye connection, and voice, vocal. It's like we need to overcome these blocks that are being placed to separate us from each other, where we fall into doubt, where we fall into this isolation and loneliness and desperation. You know, it is the web of life that supports us as individuals into manifesting our creative potential. And this brings back what I wanted to circle around to victimization, to this whole watico. I brought it up a few Pele reports ago. It's the mind virus, and it's phobias, it's propaganda, it's Neptune in the final stages of Pisces, where there are certain powers that be wanting and wishing to really coerce, manipulate, and control humanity and make people into victims that have a loss of power through a loss of knowledge, through alienation, and through objectifying each other and coming into judgment and separation of each other. Just watched a little video yesterday, and in that little 1 minute, I forget the guy's name, but you know, he talks about knowledge is power. And when you censor knowledge, you kill science. And you become powerless. A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. And when we are denied access to the vast range of scientific knowledge, we become powerless. We become victims. So it becomes necessary for us to really combat, and to really step into our creativity. And this is actually what watico is about. Don Juan, really called it the topic of topics. It is an invisible force that has, that is really within the psychology of humanity. It's a psycho-spiritual entity, this watico, of a very evil nature. And yet, the greatest evil is a wormhole or a birth canal to the realization of the greatest good. Might want to rewind that one. And what this really is about so much is that these illusions and the delusions and the lies and the deception that are really being impressed upon humanity at this time in our history for our own process of evolution as a species is forcing us to become creative. Part of the pattern of man, the truth of what we represent and what we signify within the cosmic reality, is individual creativity. And if this individual creativity goes to sleep and slumbers and is drowned out by man-made machines, if we fall asleep and we just become entertained by Netflix and movies and social media, and we just become preoccupied with observing and watching to where we are not inwardly active, we get lost in the passive Piscean realm of Neptune and this full moon. And it needs to be balanced with the effort of Virgo that we bring our Leonian creative enterprises and creative expressions into manifestation, or we are lost, or we lose our creativity, we lose our pattern, we lose the root knowledge of why we are here, and we become victims, and we lose control. We lose our power, because our power lies in our ability to create. And the more we come together, we create together, and we create more powerful structures, more powerful institutions, more powerful relationships through coming together. So this is really, this is, kind of what, comes out of, and this is what the mantra is about now, is this, it is that each day I see more clearly what freedom truly is. My body is my temple, not a petri dish. Virgo is about purging, purifying, preparing ourselves to come out into the world, unmasked, unplugged. I'm thinking of starting a new channel here, Kaipacha Unplugged. Because I have so much to say that I don't really want to be censored. But like right now, this is just the time where we really, this is birthing this age of Aquarius, not the old Saturnian Aquarius, which is dictatorship and totalitarianism, but Uranian Aquarius, okay? And let it just remember, it's a 2,000-year cycle. And Pluto hasn't even gotten to Aquarius yet. That's not for a couple more years. So we are on the threshold, and we are being shown the dark, negative, Saturnian, old paradigm forms of Aquarius that we may consciously create a new paradigm. And it will not be created by itself or by someone else. It needs to be created by a group of awake, free individuals. And this is what's so necessary now, is to take care of our temples, take care of our personal bodies and our personal health, and be free to make the choices with our own bodies. That is the ultimate boundary, the ultimate limit of imposition of the state or the government, controlling to the point where it wants to tell us what to do with our own physical bodies. This is the ultimate infringement upon personal freedom, which is the root foundation that goes back to this pattern of man, our ability to seek. Okay. This is take 3. I gotta wrap this up, man. Basically, my phone filled up, so ran out of storage and it stopped the video because my phone is full. Ah! What are you gonna do when your phone is full? Panic! Alright, one last time, man. Really. Each day I see more clearly what freedom truly is. My body is my temple, not a petri dish. The right to choose. So I'm obviously reflecting what's happening in the United States of America. They're taking away abortion rights. They're taking away the people's rights over their own body with this whole jab thing going on, and the ability to choose, the freedom, the right to choose what and how we manage and handle our own bodies. This is a fundamental root aspect of man, of humanity. So let's really keep that in mind through this week as we prepare and we move into next week. I'll talk to you about the equinox, moving into the sign of Libra, ruled by Pallas Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. Let's look at how Pallas Athena really deals with both of those next week. Namaste, aloha, so much love.